Welcome to Cockpit Talks, the Beca podcast full of insights, updates, and conversations that matter to Belgian airline pilots. From safety and regulations to everyday cockpit stories, we keep it relevant, real, and relaxed. Let's get started.
Welcome to Cockpit Talks by Beca, the Belgian Cockpit Association. Welcome to the second episode. Whether you're sleepless in a bunk, in a crew bus on the way to the aircraft, or enjoying your day off at home, I hope you're enjoying this second podcast about pilot training, which is especially for the young pilots or young aspiring pilots. Today with us is Yannick Honoré. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Yannick, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Of course, my name is Yannick Honoré. I'm 27 years old now and already flying for 7 years. I started my flight training at CAE Oxford in Brussels in 2016, finished 2018. Then I could join ASL Airlines Belgium, the cargo company, for which you fly today.
Exactly.
For 4 years or 6 years. And now, since the month of October last year, I started flying for KLM City Hopper.
Okay, very nice. And then maybe the most asked question to you, what inspired you or why did you want to become a pilot?
I think we could say it's a family-wide business, I would say, because my father also flew. He's retired now for 4 years, I guess. He was an airline pilot, started with Sabina, did some other jobs afterwards, but he continued flying until his retirement. My mother was flying as well as a flight attendant, her brother as well, and my father's uncle as well.
So it was actually in your DNA?
We could say it was slightly my DNA, yes. Yeah.
Nice, okay. Perfect. Okay, let's start straight away with it. Before maybe going straight to the part how to become a pilot, who can become a pilot is maybe a quite important question as well. Do you see some constraints? I'm thinking about medically speaking, or do you need a degree? What do you think about this?
It's a good question. First of all, I would like to say everybody can become a pilot, but then it would maybe be too easy. Okay. We would have to think about also the medical assessment, because every year we're going to have to pass a medical assessment, and it's going to be called the medical class 1, which is in fact the highest medical class that we can have in aviation, especially as a pilot. So that's the first part you need. It's to have that certificate.
And so where can you get this medical class 1?
The medical class 1, you can get it at the aviation medical examiners. It's a specific center, and I think we have a couple of them in Belgium, not a lot. The one that I know by heart is one at the B House at Brussels Airport, where you can get your initial class 1 medical. Probably in Brussels Center as well, at Brussels North, where you have the Belgian Civil Aviation Authority as well. So I guess they can have a center and some other centers.
Okay, and just to maybe tell a bit to the audience, it's a few hours of different tests.
You're gonna need a couple of hours. You're gonna need the entire afternoon or even the morning, because they're also gonna need to take some blood of you. So you're gonna need some hours to spend there. Okay,
so that's already for aspiring pilots. Yes. They should maybe go for a medical already, or so they know if they have any doubts. I think that's one of
the requirements also to apply to one of the flight schools, is that you need to be able to have your class 1 medical. So it's already a good idea to already get it. It's still investment. I think it's around 800-900 euros that you're going to have to pay. But at least there you're sure that medically you're fit to start your flight training.
True. And I think as well that you need to go, or the results need to go to a commission, so it takes some time. You don't get your license directly afterwards.
No. It takes some time, because they need to analyze your blood as well. It's not just to see how much hemoglobin you have in your blood, but it's really the entire assessment of your blood, of your blood work.
Maybe for the listeners at home as well, an interesting link to go is to the website of the BCAA, the Belgian Civil Aviation Authority, and on the website, if you search a bit, you will find a list of the different centers in Belgium where you can contact them and book an appointment.
That should be, in fact, the go-to place to find all your information about legal requirements, and also the places where you can get your examination done for your initial class 1 medical.
And then we just talked about the medical part. What about high school, university degree? Do you need to be an engineer, a civil engineer, like so many people say? Do you need to be a mathematician or a super knowledgeable guy about physics. What
you
about
don't
this?
need to be a rocket scientist. It's you just need your high school degree.
Okay.
A lot of flight schools ask you to have a high school degree. You don't need a university degree. I think it might be a good add-on. It's a nice added value, so you can see that you can really assess and take in all the information, all the amount of information, the vast amount of information, because we're going to come back to that. It's a lot of information you have to take in a short amount of time. It's a good idea to have that as a background, so you can already see if you can assess all the information.
Sure.
But it's not a requirement. The only thing you need to have a high
school degree. Okay,
yes.
Which is clear, I think. So what about soft skills? I mean, it's something we all know we need. It's very difficult to exactly name them, but if you would say what makes a good pilot or a good candidate for flight training, what are we looking for?
I think especially somebody that can communicate quite clearly.
Okay.
You're gonna be in a small space. You need to be able to communicate clearly what you think, what you want, and where you want to go.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the most important soft skills. The other one is also to be assertive. You need to be able to tell the other colleague if you're happy or if you're not happy and what you want to do.
Yeah, true. So you need to be, what you're saying is actually a team player.
Especially a team player, yeah. I think that's the most important part. You need to be a team player because it's not just a one-man show. It's at least a two-man show.
Okay.
And if you take the entire operation, it's maybe a 100-man show. Because you have, if you fly passengers, you also have the cabin behind you. You also have the operations, you have OCC, you have different departments that work together to make it happen.
Okay, yeah, true. And then, I mean, those are obvious soft skills in the cockpit. But what lifestyle do we have actually as a pilot, which is maybe not everybody is made for it, or am I wrong? What's your opinion about this one?
I think you're right by saying that not everybody's made for it, because you need to be able to adapt quite quickly as well. Because as you say, we don't have a 9-to-5 job, so it's not going to be from Monday to Friday and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon you're ready and everything's going to be set. It's also possible that you have to work on Saturday or work on Sunday, or that
during
you have
the nights. Or,
during the nights, especially for you, for the cargo flyers. It's in the nights. It's where all the packages are being delivered, especially in the European sector. But it's also that you're gonna miss some special events, some social events that you're gonna have to say, "I'm sorry, but I have to go home now, because I need to sleep."
So you really need to be motivated to do this job.
It needs to be a passion, I guess.
In order to pay all these
I think it needs to be a
sacrifices.
passion, and you need to be motivated. If you're not motivated, you can still do it, but I don't think you're going to be able to last until your retirement.
True, yeah, I fully agree on that one. Okay, thanks. And then the age limits. Are we speaking about, so we said high school, so then I'm thinking some people graduate at 17 years. Is there a limit there?
I think it depends also from the flight schools. I think legally for EASA, so for the European agency, I think the limit is 18 for a CPL, so your commercial pilot license. But I guess you can also start from 16, 17, but it's at the moment you apply to get your CPL, so to be an applicant, there you need to be 18 at least.
18, yeah. And for the airlines as well, let's be real.
Yeah, it's going to be 18. Yeah, exactly. If you're a minor, you won't be able to fly a commercial jet. So that's for the CPL. You need a piece of paper before you can apply to the airline. So let's say at least 18 years old to be able to apply for the license.
And then, I mean, money gets the world go round.
Yeah, that's another story. If you see already the initial Class 1 medical, it's already 800-900 euros, and that's only the smallest tip of the iceberg. That's just the ice cube on the iceberg, let's say. And so I think we can talk about, let's say, around 100,000 euros to have an ATPL integrated, but I guess that's going to be one of the other parts of
we'll speak
of
about this later in detail. So okay, thank you so much. So now we know who can become a pilot or who fits into the right profile to become a pilot. These guys or girls look into flight schools, and then the flight schools speak about TRE, VFR, IFR, MCC, all these different acronyms. Can you explain a bit more about what they're actually meaning and what's behind all these difficult words.
You would expect that you already need the pilot degree to get started with the flight
Exactly.
training before you can know all the acronyms. But yeah, the first part is the integrated ATPL. ATPL, it's in fact the go-to license that we want as a commercial pilot, the Airline Transportation Pilot License. Integrated means that it's an entire course. So it's going to take your full time. It's going to be a full-time job, a full-time study job actually, just like at university, where you're going to have the entire course from A to Z. So it's going to be theory, it's going to be the practice, it's going to be the simulators, etc. So you start with the theory parts, not a lot of acronyms there, but then you're going to start with VFR parts. It's going to be the visual flight rules, where you just learn how to fly the aircraft straight and level, accelerate, decelerate, climb, descend, turns.
And it's in nice weather conditions.
And it's in nice weather conditions. It's, as we would say, in CAVOC conditions almost, almost clear skies. Another acronym, CAVOC, clouds and visibility, okay. So where you just learn to fly also according to a map and you look outside. So in Europe, it's going to be quite easy. You just follow the highway or etc. From there on, you proceed to the IFR, instrument flight rules. This means that you're going to fly in bad weather. You're going to fly in clouds, because that's also one of the parts that we have to fly through are the clouds, where you don't see outside, and that's just by referencing to the instruments. The hence instrument flight rules.
So looking inside into the cockpits.
Looking inside into the cockpit and get all the information you need from the two screens in front of you that are just providing attitude, speed, heading, etc. From there on, if that is fine, you will probably proceed to the ME, multi-engine stage, because until now you always flew single engine, SE. So there you're gonna get a second engine, and there the instructors, they tell you, oh, congratulations, you moved on to 2 engines, but we're gonna cut down 1. So you just have to learn how to manipulate, in fact, 2 engines, because the first engine, it was in the center of the aircraft. Now it's going to be on the side, so you're going to have a momentum.
Like fun fact, you will learn how to deal on engine failure on takeoff, for example.
Indeed,
and take off or continue the climb with 1 engine.
Absolutely.
Which is
and how
your very first time quite stressful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you still remember.
True.
And that's what we also get in the simulator.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the multi-engine part, and from there on, you will always single pilot, actually, because you are acting as a PIC pilot in command. And then from there on, you're going to work in a multi-pilot environment.
True, because a Boeing or an Airbus does not, or Embraer does not fly with 1 pilot.
That's it. So you always need 2, because it's getting too complicated, and it's going to be, the cockpit is too wide to get access to all the buttons. And there you're going to fly with the MCC, so it's a multi-crew cooperation. And so there you learn how to work together and how to, as we said previously, communicate together to get to the final stage where you just want to land the aircraft with the problems you have during that flight, safe and sound on the airplane, on the runway.
And that's in a simulator, right?
And that's in the simulator, yes.
Okay. So now you spoke about all these different parts of the training. How long does it usually take to become a pilot from day 1 till graduating from flight school and having your flight license from the government in your hands?
To get the license, it might take longer. But to have the course finished, I would say it's going to be around 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay. That's a realistic part as well. I think we both did it in
1.5, maybe
3 months, something.
Slightly less than 2 years. So I guess to really have your license in your hands, I would say if it's an integrated course, it's going to be approximately 2 years. I think that's a realistic way to look at it.
And just to clarify, there's no school holidays. There's no 2 months holidays.
Maybe 1 week if you're lucky,
exactly.
and that's it.
Okay,
hence the motivation.
You spoke a bit about integrated before, so that's similar to a university kind of program. There is this other program too, which is called Modular One.
Yep. There you talk about, as the name says, about modules. So you're going to work in different modules. You're going to have first part of theory. If that is finished, you may proceed to the practical part, the first module as well, which is going to be the single engine VFR part. And from there on, you're gonna proceed maybe to the single engine IFR part. From there on, multi-engine IFR part. And there you proceed in modules. And there the advantage is that you're gonna decide how quick or how slow it goes by yourself. And it's also, if you can hear it, some people prefer this method because they can also regulate a bit their financial flow.
True. Yeah, they can maybe work a few days a week
in
and
the
then
meantime.
combine half-time working, half-time flying. Or
That's it, indeed.
Makes it a bit more affordable for some people.
It makes it more affordable, makes it maybe more bit more livable, but it takes more time.
Yeah, true. And then let's talk about the new kid in town, the MPL, or a cadet program.
The multi-pilot license.
True.
Yes.
Can you explain a bit the differences? Because this is a quite difficult one. You see more and more of these MPL programs on the market the last few years. What is it about?
Well, I'm not part of the legislative organ decision-making, so here is going to be how I interpret it. So you have, until now, we were talking about modules and courses that were giving you the CPL, Commercial Pilot License, which gives you the authority to act as a pilot in command for single pilot operations.
Yeah.
So small aircraft, small Cessna, you can be the pilot in command, you can be the commander.
True, with the CPL, huh?
With a CPL, Commercial Pilot License.
And you can, I'm going to add maybe as well, be a first officer in an airline.
And you can, of course, be a first officer in the airline, so in an industry where you need at least 2 pilots.
True.
The MPL, as the name says itself, multi-pilot license, you always need to be multiple pilots, so you always need to be 2 pilots. So how I interpret it, it's you are not allowed to be a pilot in command in a single pilot aircraft.
True.
So therefore, you always need to be the first officer in a multi-pilot environment.
Okay. What I know about it as well, it's always combined with some cadet program quite often, which means that an airline already hired you, or how does it work this way?
Some airlines do it indeed that they do the selections themselves, or they outsource it to a flight school where they say, okay, we want this profile, just find us the students, and the students that apply, they get, at the end of their training, they're almost guaranteed to have a job with that airline.
Yeah.
So it makes it a bit more safe maybe for the student, because we still had to stress after we graduated, as we didn't have a contract with an airline, that we still had to apply to the airlines and see which airline wanted to accept us. With the MPL, the advantage is that you're almost certain to have your spot if you finish it successfully. If you finish the program. So you have multiple airlines that do it. The most ones that I heard about was Brussels Airlines quite recently. They did it. TUI have their own program. And when we did flight training, we also had EasyJet that still did the MPL program with CE.
Can you do, for example, your MPL with Airline A and apply it directly for Airline B?
I think you will need to finish or to terminate your MPL. So that means to upgrade your MPL to ATPL before you get released by the airline.
Okay. So if I'm summarizing what you just said about the MPL program, I see there's a few advantages. Sometimes the cost is a bit lower. You might sometimes work as well for the airline already in the office. There's a bit less job insecurity afterwards. But the disadvantage is you cannot fly a single engine airplane in your free time, or you're not allowed to do this. And you cannot apply for different airlines. So, for example, if there's a bankruptcy, you might be a bit in danger.
That's exactly what I tried to say. So you're going to need your single engine pilot license if you want to fly single engine, so you can do it on the side. And that's indeed what I think. If you have your MPL, you're not able to apply to other airlines. Still to verify, maybe it has changed, maybe it has been adapted, but to confirm. But in my knowledge, according to my knowledge, I don't think you're allowed during your time in a MPL to switch. Okay,
good. That's pretty clear. Now we know how to become a pilot, which stages and which kind of training you can you go through. How to choose your flight school, that's quite an important one as well. I would maybe dare to say it's a bit of a far west environment, which, I mean, it's not an official government school. It's a private company, which will ask you money for training in return. There's a few flight schools. What do you think we should look at, or a young guy, a young girl out there, what do they need to look at before choosing their flight school?
Well, the first thing I would say is that ECA, the European Cockpit Association, has a very good website as well.
Mhm.
It's Becoming a Pilot, and there they also have the checklist.
Yeah,
that
it's
you can use.
becomingapilot.eu, I believe.
Yes, that's
True.
it. The becomingapilot.eu. And if you go there, if you go on one of the links, you can also follow the checklist,
Okay.
where you can see which steps are important to follow and which information is important to see as well in the different flight schools.
Okay. Can you give a few examples of things to look at directly?
The first thing is, if you want to go to the ATPL, it's that it needs to have an ATO number.
Mhm.
That's the training organization, the airline training organization number. If they have the number, they have been allowed by the CAA, Civil Aviation Authority of that country,
True.
to provide
Yeah.
training. Another important part is, of course, the cost. There you can also see sometimes on their website, sometimes you need to go to an open house day to see what is the cost of the training and what is provided with that cost.
Okay. And some schools do selection training as well, or selection tests before?
I think almost every school does selection assessments, selection tests. Some schools, you just pay it, you do the selection. If it's fine, you can start and you get a reimbursement or you get a credit for that selection procedure.
Okay.
Some schools, you just pay it and I wouldn't say it's lost money, but that's money that goes to them.
Okay.
And that's also important. A rigorous selection test might be an indication of the seriousness of the training of that flight school.
Exactly. Because if they take every possible client, that's maybe not a good sign, right?
That's it. That might be an indication that they really just do it for the money, for the business, and that they don't really care, if I dare to say it, that to deliver a quality product.
True.
Because that's important as well, because it's a really small world. So the name of the flight school can be important as well.
True, yeah. So especially because you're looking maybe for a job afterwards abroad. It might not be a job in Belgium or in your home country. So if you have a good, well-renowned school, then it's going to help you as well, I guess.
Yes, if it has a good name, if it has been renowned worldwide, it might increase your chances.
Okay. And what about statistics? I think this is quite an important thing as well to speak about.
Yeah. A lot of flight schools also say that they have a big hiring rate since that year, etc.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes it might be interesting to also just go into detail about what is the hiring rate, where are the students hired,
Yeah, exactly.
and how many students failed. That's also a good part to see. If you start with, let's say, for example, 30 students or 20 students, how many students make it till the end? And how many students of the ones that started, of the 30, let's say, were hired by an airline?
True.
That's also one
Maybe
thing.
speak to a student as well. Try to find an ex-student of the school and try to see, to get
of course.
a real insight.
Or something interesting as well is what I did was go to one of the open house days.
Okay.
There you can see the facilities, you can see the material they are working with, you can see the students, you can talk with the students, you can talk with the instructors, which is also an important part. We maybe forgot to talk about it. It's also who are the instructors. If it are some new instructors just got out of flight school, they might know the theory by heart still, but they don't have the experience you get on the line.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you have instructors that fly already for a couple of years, they can give you some inside information about what's required and what is wanted by the airlines.
True. Yeah, I think it's a very valid point you just raised. And then there's some flight schools doing the whole training in Belgium or in Europe, let's say. Some flight schools, they go to other locations. What do you think about this?
I think both points are valid. Staying in Belgium, going abroad. I think staying in Belgium might be a bit cheaper because you don't have the travel expenses to go there. You don't have the housing that you need to pay. You can just stay at home maybe and just take the car to school.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's going to take more time because, as we just said, you need nice weather, especially in the first stages of your flight training. And in Belgium, it's not really the best country to have nice cavalcade weather.
True.
So if you want to avoid the delays, then I think it's maybe a better idea to go abroad. You have a lot of flight schools that do it. Some go to the United States, where it's very free. where we also almost flew in the desert, where you don't have anybody that can be bothered by the noise you make. Some other schools go to, I think it's Spain or the south of France, where you have slightly better weather, and you still fly in the European airspace.
True.
Which is also something to keep in mind.
Yeah, because it's quite different in the US.
It's very different. I would say the US is quite aviation minded, and here in the EU, it's a bit more closed down.
Closed, yeah.
So I think it's
more regulated, I would say.
It's more regulated as well.
Here in Europe.
You have more airspaces because the airspace is way smaller than you have in the US. So flying abroad, yes, if time is an issue, so if you want to make it as soon as possible, I would suggest to go
maybe
abroad.
What I could add as well is that if you're in training and if you fly every day, you're making big progress.
Of course.
Whereas if you fly once a week, it's every flight you take 2 steps ahead and then during
one back.
And one back
of course.
During the days that you're not flying.
Of course. If you get immersed in it, you're gonna see the evolutionary curve. It's going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
If you take one flight a week, or if we had it as well sometimes on long haul, especially just after line training, you did 1 flight a month or 2 flights a month. You see, you get rusty quite quickly.
Yeah,
so you
true.
still need the continuity to just proceed with your training. So it's good that if you have fair weather conditions, that you can fly, as you said, almost every day.
Yeah, okay. So maybe final good recommendation for the candidate is to really go to the website of becomingapilot.eu and download the checklist. Talk about a number and money just earlier on in the podcast. So the spoiler is already there. But why is the cost so high of pilot training?
I think you have a lot of factors to take into account. First one is it's not funded by the government, so it's a private schooling. So that's already a big reason why the price is so high. But also, you don't just have theory, you also have practical training, which means you fly with actual aircraft.
Yeah,
so actual aircraft is expensive, maintenance is expensive, fueling is expensive, landing fees are expensive.
Okay.
And in the meantime, you also have an instructor that has to guide you.
Okay.
That's the first one. And if you go into the simulators are expensive as well. Because
so that's combining
it takes a lot of money.
So we're speaking about minimum 100K or even more today. I think I've seen numbers 115 something more.
Sure. I would say that it turns around 100K. So don't be surprised if you see more than 100K on the final bill.
Yeah.
It's possible. And there you have the advantage, maybe if you do maybe MPL, there the prices might be slightly lower.
Because the employer is already maybe paying some part of
that's
the,
it. But that's
training.
maybe part for the end of the podcast.
Yeah, true. There's quite some difference between the programs. Some are less than 100,000. Some are more expensive. Where's the differences?
The small letters.
Okay.
With that I mean what is included in the price. What is included in the training provided. Anyway, they need to provide you with theory, practice, single engine, multi-engine, VFR, IFR, and simulator. But it's also what is behind the training. How many hours do they let you fly the aircraft? How many hours is done in the simulator?
Because there's the minimum required by the government.
You have the minimum required by the European regulation, by EASA. But some flight schools might decide that they say, okay, in general, students need more, so we just offer more.
Okay.
That might be that this is going to increase the price as well. Some flight schools decide to just take the bare minimum and say, okay, this is the price we announce.
Yeah.
If you need more training, you just have
to pay it, and it's quite expensive.
That might be more expensive, but that's why it's a good idea to go to the open house day and talk directly to one of the managers or instructors to see what is included in the price.
Okay, exactly. And then that's the flight hours, but there's quite some differences in the simulators as well.
Yes, you have FNPT, which is a non-moving simulator.
Yeah.
And then you also have the full flight simulator, which is a simulator that we today use as well for recurrence, for exams, etc.
And for selections, for airline.
And for selections as well. And so they are moving. It's identical replica of the cockpit you're going to fly later on.
Yeah.
And it moves. So it gives you the sensitivity and it gives you the mobility to think, oh, we're really in a takeoff or really in a descent.
True.
And so that helps you as well. So some flight schools use the FNPT, so the non-moving simulator, because they say it's almost realistic. Some other flight schools provide you with the full flight simulator, which is going to be more expensive as well.
More expensive, but maybe better and might help you as well during the airline selections.
Of course. It's going to help you because the selections, as you said, is going to be done in a full flight simulator. And the first time you come in there, it's a bit... Once it's nerve-wracking because you think it might be my career that it's at stake right now.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's also, with the movement, if you're not used to it, it might give you another perspective and another insight on how to do it. But that's also with the training. But something really important as well is also the aftercare.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people talk about it, but the aftercare is really important as well. Because you also, as we just talked, training takes approximately 2 years. But you need to renew your medical every year. So this means that during your training, your medical definitely is going to expire once. So there you're got to get a renewal. And some flight school offer the renewal because they know it's in training. So it's part of it.
Yeah, so it's already
some pay for it, some don't. But also, if you need more training, as we just discussed, if you need more training,
because it's logical. Maybe one flight is, it's not your...
It's
kind
not
of
your
day.
That's it.
Exactly, your flight went not so well. You need to redo this specific mission, and if it's included or not,
it might be a difference. Yes, indeed. And some people
yes.
just need to have a declick, and at that moment it works. But it might be the first 5 hours of flight.
Yeah,
they didn't have it, so it might be they need to redo the 5 first hours.
Yeah,
it might be more expensive at that moment. But also, once you finish your flight training and you get your license. Is there also an aftercare program where the flight school will prepare you for the selections? Because the selections, as I just said, it's quite nerve-wracking. It's time-consuming. But do you also know what to expect? Because you always going to have a psychometrical examination. It might be you're going to have to talk to a psychologist. You're going to have an interview. They're going to ask about HR-related questions.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about technical questions, theory, and you're gonna have the simulator.
True.
So there it's also how can I sell myself, where I show myself as the perfect candidate to the airline. Some airlines provide this training, some flight schools might not.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that might be a big difference indeed, and it's only a few days at the end of the training.
Yeah,
but it's a big
might
difference
be really
if you're going prepared to an airline interview, or if you're just a newbie and you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know some schools as well give a bit of license renewal. So, like you said, your medical is only valid for 1 year, but it's the same story for your flight license.
Of course.
For your rating, you will graduate with a multi-engine CPL IFR rating, which is only valid 1 year. So if you need to renew it after 1 year, if you haven't found a job, I know some schools give the first renewal as well, included or not. That's things as well to look at.
Yeah, that's also an important one.
Because it's quite an expensive exam
it's
as well.
Expensive, yes, because especially if you want to keep it multi-engine CPL IR, you need also an examiner that can give you that exam. And so those are more expensive as well. And the aircraft you use for it are more expensive as well. So it's a total package we need, and that makes it more...
pretty clear. Okay. Yeah. Do you know how people finance this pilot training? Because let's be real. Somebody of 18 years old doesn't have, most people don't have 100,000 euros on their bank account.
Yeah, of course. Some people, they take bank loans. Some flight schools have some contacts with some banks that provide personal loans. And also some flight schools are in contact with some airlines. Because, for example, the KLM Flight Academy, they have a contact with KLM. And their KLM provides some kind of funding for the training.
Okay.
And also the MPL program, as it might be if you take the longer route, for example, for TUI, you also do a desk job, and from there they also take a part of your salary to pay your training, which means that the training is a bit more affordable.
Yeah, so conclusion is actually go to the flight school, go to your bank and see what they offer, and try to find some kind of financing which is available for you or works for you actually, or works for this specific program.
I could have said it better.
Okay. We're not going to make any advertisements for the schools, but it may be a good idea to just name them so people know where to go, which websites to visit, and they can clearly, or they can make up their mind and go to the different open house days.
Of course.
Instructors.
The first one that I know is the CE Oxford Aviation Academy in Brussels at Sint-Okkerzeil at Brussels Airport.
That's the old Sabina flight school.
The old Sabina Flight Academy, yes. Close to the airport, where you can also see the airlines, where you also see the simulators that they use for pilot training. You also have Europilot Center. I think they are based in Antwerp. But they also provide some training in the US. I believe it's in California, where they provide some the practical flight training over there. You also have Skywings. They also offer the MPL program with Brussels Airlines.
Yeah, which is a growing school.
Which is a growing school indeed, yes. Yeah. And they have a partnership, I think, with the European Flight Academy, which is actually the Lufthansa Flight Academy.
Okay.
From what I read somewhere. You also have New CIG in Charleroi. They provide modular training as well.
Okay.
And I think they also provide integrated flight training at Charleroi.
Yeah, because just to be clear, some schools only offer an integrated course, and some schools they offer integrated and modular courses.
And modular, yes. Yeah. And also some MPL programs, etc. And there again, it's, as you said previously, the best idea is just to go to the site to see what they offer. And if you might be interested by a flight school, it's just to go to one of their open house days.
Yeah.
You also have the Ostend Air College in Ostend. And there is also a new school, I think they are based in Liège, which is EFTA. I think you told me about those.
Yeah, exactly, because it's quite a lot of colleagues or instructors there.
Oh yeah, perfect. So, but they have experience in aviation as well. And then, so this was especially in Belgium. In Europe, you also have the L3 Harris Flight School. In France, you also have l'ENAC, but there I think you need some kind of level of French before you get accepted there. And it's also with some kind of concours, as they say. So I think you can also do the selections, but there is also a concours because there are a lot of people, because it's very limited.
True.
And then, as I just said previously, you have the KLM Flight Academy, which is rated to KLM in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And from what I heard from some colleagues now, they do their training now in the Netherlands.
Okay, good. So they're not going to Phoenix anymore.
They did it in the past, but since a couple of years, apparently they went back, and I think they're in Eelde now.
Okay, interesting to know. Okay, thanks. So we have an overview of the different flight schools in Belgium and the major ones in Europe. Very quick question. Sometimes I read some stuff about EASA and sometimes about FAA. Can you very quickly clarify to the listener where is the difference?
The difference is, especially during EASA and for EASA and FAA, is the area where they work. EASA is the European Agency for Aviation, this aviation safety, actually. FAA is the American administration.
Okay.
So they almost do the same, but they have some specific rules that are more linked to the USA for FAA and to European airspaces for EASA.
So very, in a nutshell, actually, can a pilot with an FAA license fly an aircraft with a Belgian airline?
Shortly, no.
Okay.
American pilots or people with an FAA license can fly American aircraft, so unregistered aircraft, or aircraft from countries that recognize FAA for their license. In Europe, we can fly European aircraft, so registered in the European Union, and countries that recognize the EASA licenses.
Okay, that's pretty clear, thanks. Okay, Yannick, I think we've come to the end of the podcast. I think we have quite a comprehensive view of what it needs to become a pilot. I'm just going to give you listeners at home some sources for information. So first, please visit the website of Beca, beca.be, and you will find a specific page about becoming a pilot as well. And as we spoke about it before as well, becomingapilot.eu is a website made by ECA. ECA is the European Cockpit Association, which is actually overarching cockpit association of all European associations, which is very nice to check for the checklist, for example. So you spoke about the EASA Easy Access website as well?
Yes, so if you go to EASA, you have the Easy Access website, and this is a website provided by EASA, so the European legislative body, where you can see what you need at least to be able to apply for CPL, MPL, ATPL,
Okay.
etc. And that's a bit more in a nutshell.
Okay, super interesting. Thank you. I just want to tell you as well at home that Beca is not only there for airline pilots, for active airline pilots, but as a student you can become a member as well, and there's a few advantages. And your student membership is free, so you can always look at this as well. And then, Yannick, maybe one last piece of advice you can give to a young girl or guy at home before becoming a pilot. What would you say?
Is inform yourself well.
Okay.
Because there's so much information. Make a summary for what is important to you, and also look at the differences between flight schools. Don't just go to one flight school because you heard about it, but really go into depth and go visit them and ask questions, and also see about their hiring rates, etc., which we just discussed in the podcast.
Okay,
Just
very good.
inform yourself.
But you still love your job.
Of course. For me, it's still the most beautiful job in the world. Sometimes when the alarm goes off at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning,
It's a bit painful.
it's a bit painful. I
do
ask
agree.
myself the question, why? But then you just put on the uniform, you just go flying, and then you know, yes, this is why I
Exactly.
do it.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Let's see each other again for another podcast in the future. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Cockpit Talks, brought to you by the Belgian Cockpit Association, the voice of pilots in Belgium. Visit our website, beca.be, and subscribe at our socials for the latest updates.